I'd like to call to order the meeting for Shafter City Council, Tuesday, July the 20th, 2021. Let the record show members of the council are present with the excused absence from Council Member Lopez. I'm going to ask invocation to be led by Council Member Alvarado, and I'll lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is the approval of agenda.
Seeing that there's no changes to the agenda, I'll make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to approve the agenda as printed.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, the next item is our presentations, and it's always fun to have presentations at our council meeting, and it's pretty exciting to be part of it. So I'm going to ask all of our students from the Shafter High that are here, and we had 6 that we wanted to recognize. And before I even come up to the podium, I want to mention the fact that first in class is actually a 4.5, but we stand out at Shafter High, and we have students that are right on the cusp, like a 4.469 and a 4.39. And to me and to all of us, that says we are first in class. And so I'm going to invite up Juliana May Bush, Leonel Avalos, Evelyn Roden Bustamante, Aaron Milry, Licinia Gill, and Jensen Boyd. Meet me up here. I want to say that we're aware that some of our students could not attend. And that's because, for instance, Jensen is already gone. He's at Naval Academy and he left immediately after school was out. Some of the others we weren't able to contact, and some of them just weren't able to come. So I'm pleased that you're here, and we will recognize all, and they will still get their certificates and their recommendations. They all read the same. And so as I read them, just think of yourself as the presenter. And whereas to formally recognize Shafter High's best and brightest and honor the students who graduated first in their class with the highest grade point average, and a GPA is the purest measure of student academic success. And a 4.5 is the highest GPA that a student can achieve from taking the maximum number of college level honors, advanced placement, and international baccalaureate, B classes, and earned straight A's throughout their high school career. And whereas the High School First in Class Award is based on student performance in the sophomore, junior, and senior years, but success their freshman year was a precursor to success in those ensuing years. The award recognizes sustained excellence for an extended period of time in a broad array of all subject matters, including math, English, social studies, science, fine arts, and a number of other areas, which requires having done their homework every night, cram for the tests every week, and work tenaciously on long-term projects day in and day out for 4 very long, very challenging and competitive years. And whereas recognizing that not only do students earn at school, but much of their learning takes place at home, and parental involvement is the primary ingredient in educational success. Providing an environment at home that nurtures educational success while managing the demands and the pressures that today's high school students and parents face together is also a parental achievement deserving recognition. Now therefore, I, Kathy L. Prout, Mayor of the City of Shafter, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby recognize all of the students that I named and wish you success in your future endeavors. So join me up in front, and we're going to ask council to come around in the front too, and we'll have a picture taken so we can really see public. So you're Juliana? No. Okay, wait a minute, let's see. Lionel. There you go. Congratulations. Evelyn, there you go. Okay, and then the others, like I said, we will get to them too, so. Come on up, and gentlemen, let's move in.
Yes, I'd just like to add congratulations very much to you and to your family, your parents, and everything for your hard work, and good luck in the future.
No, it's an incredible feat, and I don't think anyone quite understands how hard it is to get there except you guys. You guys are in the middle of it, but way to go. That is absolutely incredible to see that. Congratulations, guys.
Pretty much, I just want to echo what everybody else is saying, but also that, hey, congratulations, and this is just the beginning, because you still have your whole life ahead of you, and it seems like you guys already have a plan what you want to do, and I wish you the best. And you guys, the way you guys are going, you guys are gonna get there. So congratulations.
And we can't avoid the fact that even as I read that, you should have thought about how this last year has been maybe not the most difficult, but the most challenging because of having to deal with COVID and having to have such support at home as well as through the school in such a different way. And so it really says a lot for each one of us, because you understand it takes more than yourself. It takes a body of people that make you continue to grow and make you continue to prosper. And you really, this is a year you'll never forget, because it's very unique, and let's hope that it doesn't have to happen again in your lifetime, even in the success that you've been able to take care of. So we're really excited for you. And I know our principal is too. When I went up and talked to him, he's very, very excited about it. He was excited to be able to present 6 of you. So, enjoy and certainly support your family, because they've helped you to get to this point. So good luck to you. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on. Public comment time. We have anyone that wants to come forward and speak to the council may do so at this time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Holmes. On behalf of I would like for us to have the right to figure out so like where and we like we can have safe.
Was it on? Ah, there you
Technology at its greatest, right?
go.
Technology at its
The whole world can hear you at this point. Sorry, it's our
So
fault.
did you guys want me to say it again? or-
Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's because it'll pick it up on the recording.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rogelio Gomez. Hello, city council members, mayor, and everybody present. On behalf of the off-roading community, I would like us to have a safe location where we could bring our families right around and race and, for a safe location. That's what I'm asking for. And if you guys can please direct me to somebody where I can, get more knowledge and more resources about this, that would be awesome. And also to get out of the hair of course, Shasta Police Department and of all the farmers, So please,
Okay, you know what I might ask you is to give us your full name and your address and phone number to the staff, and then someone can reach out and tell
Okay.
you what you need to do next.
my name is Rogelio Gomez. I live in 556. Okay, I'll wait for you. Probably everybody knows where I live. I just don't. You want me to give it to you? I'll go over there right now.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Anyone else care? OC, yes, I heard you were coming tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members and all present. My name is O.C. Crawford. I live in Bakersfield, California. And I'm the little old man who is trying to make Bakersfield, Shafter, Kern County the best that it can be. And for the past 5 years, we've been holding awards, awarding people, citizens, mayors, Kern County supervisors, awarding them, encouraging them to do and be the best that they can. We know that in politics, people, not any of you guys, of course, but people can get corrupt. Well, this year's award banquet is entitled Honoring Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers of Kern County. As we know, we really need to get back to the Constitution. This is the basis of our nation and our greatness. And I just want to encourage the law enforcement and let them know that we, the people, support them. The majority of people really do support our elected officials and law enforcement. And we just want to honor them and encourage them to perhaps review the Constitution or their oath. The oath is based on the Constitution. The Constitution is based on we, the people. That's what it's all about. So I would like to invite Mayor Proud and City Council members to attend this event. I sent out an email. I hope you all got it. I probably have to send out a reminder, but it's going to be in September 18th at Hodel's in Bakersfield, which I think most people know that's a very good restaurant. So I hope you can come. And if you have any officers in mind, sheriffs or police officers that you feel are worthy, please send me their names. I'd like to honor them at this banquet. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'm here. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment.
Sure.
As you know, we met some time back, and I know you also had our council member Alvarado that attended one of your sessions.
Yes.
And I've always felt that it does stand out. It does recognize, as you said, and I think it's important that you're doing that. And you're not just a little old man, you're just a great man that's doing good things in our county, just like a lot of us do. So we appreciate you too.
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mayor.
And I have put it down on the calendar, and I am free and available to attend. And I
That
was
is
talking to
wonderful.
staff about seeing about recognizing somebody from our law enforcement. So
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, OC. Anyone else care to address the council? And anything not on this agenda? Very good. Okay, council announcements and reports. Councilmember Alvarado, you have anything?
I don't have anything to report.
Mayor Pro Tem?
It's been 5 weeks.
I know.
There's been a ton going on. We've seen record heats and had a good 4th of July. I hope everyone else has had a good 4th. The chamber, and I've relayed the message over, but I'll say it again. Chamber put on an incredible show. It was great to see everyone out there. Almost, it kind of felt normal, to be honest with you. And I like the feeling of normal. So It was good being a part of that. Had some other meetings that were going on during this time for Sigma and what have you, and just kind of feels good. And I'll go with you, Pete. It feels a little different to be back in the Grand. Again, take 5 weeks off. It doesn't feel right. So here we are. That's all.
Councilmember Espinoza?
I did enjoy the time off. It was nice being around family and friends on the 3rd of July, and then we went and celebrated the 4th of July at my brother's house and saw the fireworks from his house. Had a good time. I took a week's vacation off because I was supposed to be attending my son's graduation from the Air Force boot camp, and they weren't allowing attendance, so we had to watch it online. But he did graduate the boot camp, and now he's moving on to the next step, which is his IT training for his air medic certification. And so I'm happy about that. My daughter's started her medical residency at Kern Medical, and she's about 3 weeks into that. So I'm very happy for her too. That's all I have to report.
Okay, well, I don't want to bore you, but I can tell you that my 5 weeks hasn't been boring. I do want to extend a real strong appreciation to everyone that was involved in the fireworks as well as the 4th of July celebration all over Shafter and wherever else you went. And I want to be sure we thank the chamber for everything that they did and their sponsors that came forward that paid for all the fireworks and the display that we had. And also for Shafter Rotary, who once again put out flags on the median and had outstanding remarks about the feeling of just coming out. And I think it really relates a lot to what we dealt with in this whole last year. And I know when staff and I talked about it, it was important that we show the red, white, and blue and be proud of it. And people did respond. But we did have SIDS committee meeting with economic development, which will reflect on us. And there is a representative, and even Linda Martin is on our committee, and she's here tonight on another matter. But I thought it was well planned and discussed, and gives us some opportunities to really learn more about our community and then be able to apply for some additional monies that will come in and help us on some infrastructure projects in the community. We also had a Kern Economic Development quarterly meeting, and it's the item coming up is the Energy Summit on November the 10th, which seems a little off, but I think just be sure you write it down. It should be an interesting time because of all the changes that are coming about in the area or everywhere for energy. Also had a REAP, which is another housing project that's coming from the Valley Policy Committee, and I serve representing the whole county here. And once again, that's another place that will provide some grants and that will equal more housing opportunities for a lot of other people. Also, with the city manager and myself, we were invited to attend first the park site visitation from the state inspector or state representative for Prop 68. And I think all of you remember we did get money already to start the first phase of the park or complex addition to Shafter on an 8.5 million. And they were asking for another 8.5 million, which stands really positive that they will receive and continue to expand on their facility out there. Also, the city has acquired property off of Fresno and CVH, as most of you probably remember. And we've applied for a $3.8 million grant, and looks like it's going to be worthy that we could be recognized at the same time. That is a family park compared to what the other one is that will be more for sports and other activities. Also, there was a 617 steering committee meeting that we had on July the 12th, and they go through the regular air monitoring, pesticide regulations, and the CERP, which is the Community Emissions Reduction Program that we've been talking for almost 3 years. And there are funds available there that could be earmarked to come to this area. There still seems to be some struggling in contention about how we're dealing with all of this, and yet it has to go through the government process, and it still has to be, once we choose projects, still has to be approved by the California Resources Board. So trying to get everyone to cooperate and be patient has been quite an issue. Also attended a community task force. And I want to mention, and I did have it on my list, not even knowing you were going to be here, Linda, is a food recovery program that is really part of AB. What was that? SB 15? 1350. Yeah, that's right. That's what I was trying to think. I didn't write it down. Anyway, what happens there is to help with the hunger and the waste of food. And so we're working with schools, churches, the grocery stores, food markets. And Linda is really instrumental in coordinating all of this because it's going to take a lot of logistics in order to get this food that's available to get to the right people. And so once the food is there, then you have to get it transported, then you have to have a distribution, and where do you go and how do people know about it? So we're hoping that maybe in a short time, it'll all come together. And we'll probably hear more about it as it does come together so that we can get more information out for everybody that will receive the products. The other one was a COG meeting. I've had two different COG meetings because I had one in June and then one in July. And I just wanted to mention briefly that we did interview or do an evaluation for our executive director, and it was all very positive from all the cities. He gave us a lot of short-term as well as long-term for up to 3 years, and also his accomplishments, and also then learned that, you know, his retirement will be coming soon. And so he's already starting to look for a replacement in that. So I think it's worthy to mention it's a position that represents our region, and he's a retired colonel with the Air Force, and his retirement is going to come up. And so that's going to give him the exit to retire. So, and then the other important thing is we had a transit claim that we applied or asked for, and it was approved for almost $330,000. So that one will be coming back to the community. Also at the COG meeting, we had a presentation from Anna Levin, who has currently been the executive director. And they started a Bakersfield Kern, which includes all of the rural areas, Regional Homeless Collaborative. And this is the month that they recognize homeless people. And so she gave out materials that are do's and don'ts for homeless, as well as just rounded information that I want to pass on to staff. I only have one copy, and I can see where it's worthy for information out of City Hall, but I also think it's very informative for PD or any other departments. And so I'll be sure that the staff gets those and can print them and give them out to others. But you can see I wasn't bored for 5 weeks, was I? I mean, there was plenty going on, and I just happened to be in the right places, I guess. So that concludes my report. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, very good. Consent calendar. You know, we have several items on the consent calendar. There are, whoops, let me find it here. 19 items, and I want to highlight them quickly, just in case you have some questions, or just in case there's someone that needs to have some more information about what's going on. We have the general checks, we have payroll, we have overtime reports and minutes for June 15th or June 21st. We will adopt a resolution 2815, which approves and directs destruction of certain city records. We will adopt the city administrative policy on drug and alcohol in the workplace. We will also adopt and revise the policy on harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. And then the third one is to adopt the City of Shafter's administrative policy on workplace violence. So this is just an update to make sure we have everything in order to deal with. Number 9 item is approve the final map for track 6713, and it's located over on Elizabeth Street, just behind the Academy. And there are 28 lots. And so this is just the final map, and we'll get more information as that progresses. The next item 10 is approval of a lease agreement with the city of Shafter and RL Environmental, which is going to take over the 8.5 acres located at 4400 Fanuki Way. It's out at the WIP. And we welcome them because that is our building and we're leasing that property to them. Number 11 is approve the updated memorandum of understanding with the Kern County Probation for the use of the firearms range. Number 12 is approve the purchase of modern data backup solutions from Sentinel for IT department, $95,180. Number 13, adopt resolution number 2816, which is the annual billing on unpaid assessments for North Park and North Shafter Assessment District. And that's for their water setup. Number 14 is to accept the park improvements completed with Mantle Park Outdoor Fitness Court project, which took $38,500 to install that. Number 15 is to authorize the release of bidding purposes for the 2021 7th Standard paving project. The community is from Community Street all the way to Bryant Curran Canal. That's to reconstruct that westbound lane, number 2 lane, which has heavy traffic on it, sure does. Number 16 is to adopt resolution number 2817, which is to vacate Jackson Avenue between Walker Street and Santa Fe. That original map was in 1913. And if you remember, that's when the city started back in 1913. And that's how we first started getting our water and our sewage and had that lift station put out there. And yet the streets have never been there. Number 17 is to adopt resolution number 2818 and file for an application for the Regional Surface Transportation Program. And it includes $538,000 for Shafter and local match would be $69,700 from the local. Number 18 is to approve the construction plans and contract documents for Central Valley Highway Lift Station Upgrade Project and authorize the release of the project for formal bid purposes. And that's the one I just talked about. That's Jackson, right? Yes. And number 19 is to adopt resolution number 2820 that will initiate proceedings pursuant to the landscaping and lighting and order the preparation of the engineer's report. And that's on the project that's going in out here on West Tulare and west of Veracruz. Some new housing that's going in out there. Any questions or comments on any of those items? Entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the public hearings. The one item we have on for tonight is the Gossamer Grove Development Sewer and Refuse Service Charges.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this is a public hearing in which staff will provide a staff report. What this evening is Mike James, our Public Works Director, and Alex Gonzalez, one of our engineers. Mike.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. Michael James, Director of Public Works. At a June meeting, this past June, the council authorized annual levy of assessments so the city could collect solid waste and wastewater charges for the Gossamer Grove community. Since then, staff have identified a need to add additional lots through this annual levy process. So with that, I'm going to hand things off to Alex Gonzalez, our staff engineer that generally prepares all of the engineering reports that recommends assessments for our districts.
Thanks, Mike. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, at its June 15th meeting, the council held a public hearing on Gossamer Grove refuse and sewer charges and adopted resolution 2811, authorizing the assessment of those charges via the Kern County property tax roll. Since that meeting, it has been determined that there were some additional properties that needed to be included on that list. In addition to updating the engineer's report, it's also required that another public hearing be held and that a new resolution be adopted with the new included properties. The sewer and refuse rates have remained the same as the previously included report, with the only change being the addition of the additional properties. Staff is requesting that the council conduct a public hearing And at its conclusion, consider adopting Resolution 2819, authorizing the assessment of sewer and refuse charges for Gossamer Grove via the Kern County property tax roll. Thank you.
Any questions of staff before? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone care to address the council for or against? Any questions, any comments? We're pretty scarce out here, huh? Did we get anything through the mail? No. Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments? Otherwise, we'll have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Alvarado.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, the next item is under manager reports, and it's a request for proposal or an RFP for the Core City Residential Solid Waste Services franchise.
So Mayor and Council, this item comes back to you after a few months ago. We had a workshop with you regarding the implementation plan for SB 1383. At that time, we shared with you that we would be coming back to you with this particular item, which is an RFP of how we would look to provide that service. The matter before you this evening is not to award a contract or anything related to that. It's simply to authorize the issuance of the RFP that contains 3 different options, of which our Public Works Director will provide additional background. So the recommendation from staff is to go ahead and authorize the issuance of the RFP, which would later come back to you for consideration and award. So that's the only action item this evening, is to issue the RFP. So, Mike.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, several years ago, the council authorized an award of franchise hauling contracts to American Refuse and Varner Brothers, as some of you may recall. So these 2 haulers service virtually every sector of the Shafter community, with the exception of the Core City residents. Now, the motivation to seek out proposals and ultimately award franchise hauling agreements was to comply with state diversion requirements that were geared towards commercial recycling. So up until now, the Core City residents have been spared having to have a routine mandated diversion program such as green waste or a blue cart. But now looming is a January 1st deadline, and which involves the SB 1383, which that officially goes into effect. So similar to the commercial, well, I should first start back up and say that unlike past commercial mandates, SB 1383 is going to affect everybody. Whether it's getting new services or simply paying increased costs for the city or their hauler to comply. So similar to, and so the significant impact to Shafter is that the Core City residents that have been spared mandated diversion programs will now have to comply with mandated programs. So similar to our motivation to comply with the commercial mandate several years ago, staff is recommending that we accept proposals from franchise haulers to see what they can do to assist us with our compliance. Specifically, what services they can provide and what service rates they can offer our community. So the RFP, the request for proposals, has been prepared and it's included with your agenda packet. The highlight of the RFP is going to be, hopefully the outcome of the RFP is going to be having the haulers quote 3 different scenarios. Scenario 1 is the city crews retain refuse collection, and a franchise hauler offers a 1-cart diversion program, which is a green waste. Scenario 2 would be the city relinquishing itself of the or getting out of the waste business and franchising a 2-cart system with the hauler, being refuse and green waste. Scenario 3 is the 3-cart franchise service that consists of a refuse container, a green cart for green waste, and a mixed recycling blue cart container. So we're asking haulers in this RFP to provide costs for providing each of those service scenarios. So in addition to the routine scenarios, we're asking the haulers through this RFP to what they could do to assist us with bulky waste collection items, perhaps curbside, personalized service rather than drop-off events. But we're also asking for drop-off events as well, in addition to continuing the routine special services that we benefit from, which include, I guess, the Christmas tree recycling program would be one example. And we're also asking the haulers to provide us or let us know how they could assist with some of the extensive public outreach that's going to be required to ultimately comply with 1383. So the game plan is at this time is to be in compliance by January 1st, obviously. To get there, this RFP should be concluded by the end of this summer. And hopefully by fall, early October, we're in a position to review proposals and ultimately make a recommendation, because there will be new services, there will be new rates, which require a Prop 218 process, which will probably take a good couple of months. So we're on track to developing a compliance plan, but it's extremely important that we receive authorization tonight to proceed with the RFP and then conduct the RFP and come back to you within the next month or two with some results and hopefully an action plan for the rest of this year. But for tonight, we're asking for authorization to proceed with the RFP. And between now and when the RFP is concluded, if we have updates, if we have things, if we need additional action from the council, we'll be sure to come back to you at a future meeting. But again, tonight, the intent with this agenda item is to move forward with the RFP, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a couple. So on the RFP, you note just a one-time service. And I know right now we're doing a two-time service if it's local. Oh, I'm sorry, local, if it's our staff doing it. Two-time service a week isn't an option right now, or is that because the diversion it's?
I suppose it could be an option, but it'll be a costly one because they'll have to pay for both. They'll have to have a green card no matter what. So
Gotcha.
one way of looking at it is that rather than having a 2-cart pickup by a city crew, they're going to have to divert the mixed waste that's in their container and set aside some of that waste for a green container. But it is an option, but it'll be a costly one, and I doubt one that we'll ultimately recommend.
And the carts that are recommended are minimum 90 gallons. So I presume, because the large alley containers are 240, 300.
300.
So it's one, okay. So they're assuming that those, between the two containers, the green waste and the regular waste, I guess you would say, they imagine that's going to be able to work.
In the RFP, I believe we're telling haulers to assume that shared containers will be a thing of the past.
Okay.
That everyone's going to have their own container. And the motivation for this is to make sure that we eliminate contamination and we make sure that each individual container that currently has a shared container doesn't lose capacity for the individual container that they have. And that's a frequent problem we have with alley containers is that some people use more than their allotted capacity. So that's the approach we're going through with this RFP, is to assume that everyone's going to get their own 90-gallon container for each of the waste streams that they're going to have collected.
Okay. Sorry for asking dumb questions. And I see two knowledgeable people here with this, because the RFP says that they would be the ones responsible for purchasing the containers and maintaining them. So a 2-part container, if they did that just for the folks with an alley, there's 1,700 customers with an alley. So what is that? That's 500 containers, give or take, alley containers that we have.
Well, yeah, maybe not quite that many, but yeah.
So you're looking at purchasing 1,000 90-gallon containers. One, if we did just the 2-part diversion.
Well, if the city relinquishes control, the RFP tells haulers to assume that the existing containers will be theirs to figure out what to do with. And then we certainly don't want to have to manage that issue. We have enough to kind of deal with this transition, but ultimately, and the proposals are the proposed proposals aren't meant to be really rigid. There might be, we're going to have an open meeting with prospective haulers during the RFP process, and our outlook on that may change. But for now, the assumption is that they're going to be furnishing brand new containers for each account.
So what I was going to get at is, if that's the case and they're supplying, I would say a minimum of 1,000 in Shafter. But I mean, this is a state mandate for January, right? So are trash cans going to become the new furniture where it's going to take 6 months to a year just to acquire these items? And if we don't have those items because we simply can't, there's just no way to get these here because of what's happening, right? I mean, again, state mandate, 40 million people. What is the state saying anything about, okay, we can extend this deadline out because we realize that it's going to be difficult to get that many containers all at the same time?
You're right. Our haulers and attendants might have a different perspective,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that the state isn't terribly sympathetic about things like COVID or
Really?
anything else that impacts our daily lives. And they're not necessarily even concerned about what kind of markets are out there for all the green waste that we collect that, you know, and that would have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're still struggling with what the state will find acceptable as far as markets go, because we're not exact. I mean, we're not the Bay Area. We're not Los Angeles. I mean, we
Right.
don't have the same access to facilities that, and so they are aware of our concerns. And I suspect that if you physically can't get containers here, then there'll be more than just Shafter. It'll
yeah.
apply to more than just Shafter. I think it'll be across the board. But as far as like what the current trend is with access to containers, and maybe the Martins might have something to share. I don't mean to put them on the spot, but
Sorry. I love how you say that. Good job. Yeah. But
I
you're
think
you're talking that it would be awarded when? October?
as early as
October 5th.
October. Yeah.
At the earliest. So on a 10-week lead time, that would be giving you almost no room for error on a 10-week lead time. I bet it is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Well, I think, honestly, I think in addition to the programs, implementing or getting programs authorized, what the state's looking for is a commitment and through an ordinance. Now, I think the council members are aware that an ordinance is required, and we deferred adoption of an ordinance until we can know exactly what kind of services we can provide through these RFPs that we get. So I think a combination of the ordinance adoption and an award of franchise will probably, I think we can fudge a little bit on January 1st, as
Okay.
long as we have the wheels in motion and we have the necessary council action.
The only other thing I could think of asking, and again, I apologize for asking all the questions, but with the ordinance coming through, knowing we have to go down that road, do we have educational meetings set up for the folks? Because I'm that guy who everything gets piled in my trash bag and it gets thrown away. Sorry, you didn't hear that, Linda. So now I have to be that same guy who says, well, crap, I've got to put this on one side and this on the other side, right? I get it. I don't like it, but I'm one of 22,000 residents who are going to have that same struggle. So, I mean, are we going to do some education outreaches?
In addition to that, we're going to do enforcement, and it's not just going to be a good practice, it's going to be mandated. The state through SB 1383 has mandated not just enforcement, but a certain type of enforcement. Like I believe random lid checking and inventorying. It's if you can imagine a code compliance officer strictly for waste programs, that's kind of where this is headed.
Oh, Lord.
Again, not one that
I would like to
an
hear
idea
the-
we came up with, but it's something that the state's expecting to see.
I would just like to hear the word education before enforcement.
That's
because-
going to be our priority. It's not
Okay.
going to be our goal. It's going to be our priority, and we'll always favor education over enforcement.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You know, I just just to add a little bit more to all this, that I know Linda's been doing a lot of training, a lot of education, doing a lot of education programs to the schools and helping out in the schools, teaching our kids about doing the right thing, making the right choices. And, you know, I think I saw her doing maybe a year ago, or pancake breakfast, or one of the breakfasts, she had a couple containers there teaching everybody, even at school. So she's doing that already. So I think that's a plus. I know it's not, you know, it's not everybody, but it's a plus. I think we're going in the right direction now. But I just want to say, just that part of education, you know, she's already started it. And I just want to say thank you for doing it, you know. I don't think anyone told you to do it, but you're doing it on your own free will, and I appreciate that because it's gonna take, I think once it hits, it's gonna have a lot, we're all gonna get a lot of phone calls, you know? But at least we have a solution, we have an answer. And that's the most important thing, having the answer, and not saying, well, I don't know. So, but thank you, Linda, and thank you, Mike.
That pancake event, that wasn't recycled pancakes, right? Okay, just kind of making sure that's not where we're going here.
I have a couple of questions. So the trash pickup will be once per week, right?
That's what we've asked haulers to assume, yes.
Okay, is that going to be continued in the alley or is that going to be street side, curbside?
Right now, the assumption is that we're going curbside, not in the alleys. Now, if the haulers want to propose or convince us that alley service is feasible, then we'll entertain that. But something to take into consideration based on our experience with commercial recycling mandates, commercial businesses that have their containers in alleys, and once we assign containers to individual businesses rather than shared containers, and they were lockable, and we took basically containers out of the alleys, the illegal dumping increased significantly. I mean, not increased, but improved significantly. And the goal here, at least the assumption, or the goal with the assumption that we would convert to curbside, would be that we wouldn't want to see any waste in the alleys, any containers or any, because we feel, based on our experience, that if you have shared alley containers or any kind of waste containers in the alley, there's going to be some likelihood of illegal dumping. And so when we consider future ordinances or future policies, maybe we want to just, if this curbside conversion is successful, we may just want to ensure that we prohibit waste in alleys altogether and limit alleys to residential access and utility purposes only.
Okay, and then if let's say a household is generating more than 190-gallon container, they can add a second one?
Yes, they could. I believe it's American has well, if their board is such a franchise, they could offer a second container rate.
Okay, and then right now, the water, the sewer, and the trash are combined in one bill, right? Is that going to stay the same or is that going to change?
The RFP offers to continue the city as the billing entity, but we're open to other proposals or other thoughts on that when the haulers prepare the proposals. But we feel that at this time, the easiest transition would be maintaining the billing through the city.
Okay, and I know you may not have the answer right now, but that's okay. I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I just one last thing, Mike. It's been a problem for a while, and I think it's still a problem at the Freedom Home track. They have these single containers now, and they leave them on the sidewalk constantly, and people call and complain about the homeowner or the renter has not, put the container back where it belongs, and man, I think that might be it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking the fact that having the containers in the front, and there's some areas there's no parking already, and having containers out there taking up a spot, like we do sometimes. Occasionally, we have these basketball courts taking up, public street spots. But I understand, kids. I don't know about having them in the front, without somebody throwing them in the middle of the road or something.
Well, that might be something for to add to the enforcement end of this, is that not just enforcing the recycling content, but enforcing the container location.
Because we have that problem today at Freedom Home.
Yeah,
that
and so when
exists.
you go curbside throughout the city, then that'll probably be a much more prominent problem. But I think that is prohibited, but we just need to be step up the enforcement on that. But that is true, though.
Is that it? Anything else? All right.
Need a motion?
as soon as we're finished here. Okay, anything else you want to add?
No, I just wanted to remind the council that we're just starting this process and it's a pretty flexible proposal for haulers to work with. And there might be something we haven't thought about, there may be something we overlooked, but I think at the end of the day, I'll have the best action plan, compliance plan possible for you within the next couple of months.
I would think it's not just Shafter, it's everywhere. And
Yeah.
the thing is, many people have been waiting for this. They know about it. It's just the ones that are going to struggle with the change and having to adjust to it. It'll come along. We just have to be patient. We have to deal with them individually. I mean, we have to do it before, we'll do it again. So thank you. Okay, we entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to approve request for services proposal.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, we're down to city manager comments and reports.
Surely, Mayor and Council, just a few items. One, we are working on moving back these temporary council chambers back to our city hall. So we are targeting our tentative meeting date of September 7th for us to be back at City Hall. We're looking to propose to have a council workshop to develop an economic development strategic plan, of which current EDC would help facilitate that. The week of August 16th, if council's open to it, maybe we can do it on the 17th prior to our regular council meeting. They start 3:30 or 4 o'clock. This is a follow-up discussion from the strategic plan workshop we had a couple months back, well, like 3 months back. And so if you are open to it, I'll have our city clerk send out and pull you as to your availability. Tomorrow, I'll be having an in-person chat with the city manager here at Veterans Hall, small room, 5:30. It's open to the public. To be about kind of like a city budget 101, and just in terms of how we budget and what our adopted fiscal year 21-22 budget is. And then lastly, there is a rise of COVID-19 cases in the county. Public health continues to encourage people to get vaccinated. And at this time, public health doesn't have any intentions to mandate the wearing of face masks indoors, but we continue to monitor that situation closely with them. And other than that, I have nothing further. Our public works director does have a few updates as well. So Mike.
Yes, real quick, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, I have a couple of projects and programs to update you on. First, the mural project at tank number 5 located at near the intersection of Lerdo and Highway 99. That will likely commence this week. And I don't really have a firm timeline for when it's supposed to be completed, but I would hope by the end of the summer. That mural, we had some renderings at a past meeting, but it's ultimately going to celebrate the history of water in the Shafter area. So we're looking forward to seeing that completed. If you haven't been by the courtyard in the last couple of weeks, the solar panel project commenced in the parking lot that separates the former correctional facility and the courtyard. So that's the first of 5 sites they're going to get solar panels. The others include Veterans Park, tank number 3 located at the logistics park, the animal control facility, and Rodriguez Park. So that I don't have a timeline for when that will be completed, but I suspect it'll be by the end of the year. The West Beltway project, that's the new road construction that's going to provide secondary access to 7th Standard Road for the wonderful industrial park. Paving should commence on that new street tomorrow, and I would think it would be completed by the end of this month, but I should caution that the access is not going to be cleared until we get the traffic signal at 7th Standard completed, and I think that's probably a good couple months away from being completed, but still, nonetheless, a very good development within the industrial park. And finally, I heard Mayor Prout mention AB 617. I'm a committee member, and Ms. Martin with American Refuge is also a committee member. Since the last meeting we had last Monday, the district wanted me to let the council know that they have a funding opportunity to pay for electric charging infrastructure that you could apply for through the district. There, I believe I'm not really sure if the vouchers they issue will completely cover the cost of a charger, but nonetheless, there's, I believe, $850,000 committed to the Shafter community to install electric vehicle charging stations. And it's not just city governments, it's also local businesses, and I believe they even mentioned apartment complexes that could apply. And so we will be promoting the link to access the guidelines and the application as early as this week. But if the council has any questions or would like me to follow up on anything, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Mike, the only question I got is about those, that water tank. Do you have pictures of what you plan to put up there or what?
Yeah, I believe the Water Agency of Kern County, which is funding the mural, provided a presentation. And it's kind of a black and white photos that focus on canals and infrastructure for the most part. And I could provide you with, we could resend the rendering that was produced by the.
All right, it's not anybody's grandpa or family members, right?
No, it's infrastructure based.
Okay.
It's kind of wide ranging kind of photo, not necessarily zeroed in on any individuals. It's just here to mostly to celebrate infrastructure, canals, pipelines, things like that.
Okay.
Anything
Nothing further.
else?
Nothing further.
Okay. We need to have a motion then to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?